Okay, hello everyone, and my name's Sugi Yamagawa, and today on VTubing My Slow Life Hobbies in My 30s, we're going to be making beer cheese and pretzels. Pretzels we're going to be making in the Dutch oven, beer cheese we'll be making over the fire. We've got a lot of fire happening right now, mostly because, well, I've got some water in my tea kettle, and I need to get it very warm reasonably quickly. Oh, hey, good guy! Oh, wow. I'm surprised you're here. But hey, welcome in, good guy Trav. I am definitely looking forward to our fun plans for tomorrow. But yeah, I will say, do bear with me a little bit because I am going to probably be a little bit awkward in the beginning of today, simply because I'm going to be having a lot of referencing going back and forth with my recipe because, well, this is definitely going to be well, I wouldn't say this is necessarily challenging. It's just I'm going to be also making like two recipes in parallel. One's going to be the pretzels, the other's going to be the beer cheese. Granted, I am going to try and keep them to being separate processes, but don't ask. I'm going to do my best to keep them separate processes, just to make my life easy. But I'm going to be a little bit juggling. I'm playing some D&D tonight, by the way. We're picking. Oh, okay. If I'm being picked up, I'm fine with that. Have fun with your D&D, though. I certainly hope you have fun with your D&D. But yeah, so for those who may be a little bit new here, I've had mixed success with my Dutch oven. So one of the points of today's stream with making these pretzels is to get some Dutch oven time in, so that way I can get a little bit more experience with the Dutch oven. So that's one of the things I'm hoping to accomplish today. But otherwise, we're mostly going to be focusing on making some pretzels, making some delicious beer cheese, and hopefully everything works out well. I'm not entirely 100% sure if it's going to work out well, but I want to be optimistic about it being well. So I'm hearing a little bit of sizzling happening out of my not my Dutch oven, but my cast iron tea kettle. So wait, where'd my measuring cup go? I have a measuring cup. I know I do. I grabbed it before. Oh yeah, there it is. But yeah, measuring cup. Ghetto. And I now have to grab things that let me handle hot objects, because that's a hot object. That is a very hot object. So we're going to get a little bit of water. And we don't need really a whole lot. We just need like half a cup from there. So let's see. Owie! You're making some noise. You're making some wild noises. But yeah, we're just going to start off with like a little bit of water. Just a little bit. And it is also very important that I monitor the temperature of said water, which right now at at like 170 degrees is far too warm for the purposes of what I wish to use it for. However, though, I certainly do plan to dilute it if need be. So I'm going to go ahead and also get some sweet cinnamon spice tea going. Also, by the way, I have had a couple of, let's put it this way. I've had a few of the beers so far. So, in order to make sure I am not too far out of my reasonable zone, we're going to be just starting off for the first drink of the night. We're going to just be having like some nice non-caffeinated tea. Come here. Oh, you're a heavy son of a gun. You're a very heavy son of a gun. But at these temperatures, you're absolutely amazing for tea. For an herbal tea. Herbal tea, great. Perhaps if I was trying to make a different sort of tea, probably want that a little bit warmer. But yeah, as we can see, we're still 150 there, so. But. I can just add a little bit of additional water to get down to the temperature I want. So. But yeah. A little bit of a yap before we, like, really get into the cooking. So. I'm going to try to get the pretzels done. Well, our first order of operations is to get the pretzel dough done. Once the pretzel dough is done, I didn't grab that, but that's fine. Once the pretzel dough is done, it has to rest for a period of time. During the resting phase, we'll work on the preparation for some of our beer cheese ingredients, and then from there we'll finish up the pretzels. We'll get the pretzels cooking in the Dutch oven. Granted, the Dutch oven activity is going to happen a little bit off to the side because, as you can see, the screen is mostly occupied by fire pit and preparation work surface. I don't really have the room for like everything, but eventually the Dutch oven will become a thing. Eventually, but not necessarily immediately. And actually, speaking of which, let's just hit this water a little bit. And then we'll see what that temperature comes out to be. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a good evening this evening. So far, mine has been pretty good. I have gotten the Oktoberfest beer that I brewed, I think 3 weeks ago. That's bottled now. I got that bottled this evening. So that's a chore off my chore. Oh wow, that is actually very warm. That is a chore off my to-do list. That's done. So I'm always glad to get chores knocked off my to-do list. So we are at 121 degrees on, no, 127 with our water, which is unfortunately too warm for the yeast, because that's the reason why we have this water here. This water is going to be for the yeast, which, if you give me a second, we're actually going to be working with a pizza crust yeast because this is what I have available, and I'm going to work with what I got. So that's going to be pizza crust yeast for that. We're going to have some sugar. There's going to be some stuff, but this needs to cool down. So, and I always try to be a little bit careful. So we're going to hit it with a little bit of like basically what is room temperature water. And we're going to see how this turns out. So right now we're at 120 and dropping. Let me get this just a stir by stirring the whole thing. But yeah, 120 and dropping. So pretty reasonable, because if I go to my packet wants very warm water, like 120 to 130. So I'd say we're in a pretty good space. So with that, I will say I'm going to be doing a lot of recipe referencing today. Like, I am going to be doing a lot of recipe referencing today, simply because I'm doing 2 recipes, and I got to keep my I gotta keep my stuff straightened out. So please do bear with me a little bit. So our first step is we're gonna be adding our warm water, which we're actually at a decent temperature with the warm water, so I'm gonna just put that away, and it's gonna get a half tablespoon of sugar. So I now have to find my various. Got your culinary lie ready? Oh, okay. 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 That's all shop. First off, one. Very impressive for that deep cut reference right there. But yes. But we're not using a lie. We're actually using a Costco-sized bag of baking soda, which we don't need this much baking soda for pretzels. But yes. So chat, looks like we definitely have ourselves a individual who's a lot more of an expert at making pretzels than me, because this is actually my first attempt at pretzels. This is my first attempt. So that is my half tablespoon of sugar into my warm water, and that's just going to get stirred for a while. Which, the reason why A1 Dad's Old Chop is making a reference to culinary lie is it will do, yes, it will certainly do. So, the reason why he's making a reference to lie and why I busted out the baking soda is because for pretzels, in order to get that nice crispy golden brown coloration to the crust, you have to take your part of the country I'm from eats 12 times the amount of pretzels than the rest of the country. Go birds. I'm not particularly sure what the reference to the go birds is, but like, hey, if you're from a part of the country that eats a lot of pretzels, good for you guys. Granted, I do think that if you're that much of a pretzel fiend, you might be a little bit too enthused with today's stream. Okay, so I also do have to add yeast with this mixture, which I did not grab. I did fail to grab a knife, but where I lack a knife, we just have brute force and power. So our water mixture here is about, it's less than like the actual like temperatures, because we were actually like right at 120. So for the pizza crust yeast, it recommends between 120 to 130. We're a bit on the low side, but I'd rather be on the low side for this. And with that, we now have a wonderful little mix here. Now, this wonderful little mix is sugar, yeast, and water. We now get to wait for that to froth up, and then when that starts to froth up, we can start to add flour, because we'll actually start making the dough at that point, because I actually have to keep these two, because I actually have, because one of the sad ways the internet works nowadays is the directions for a recipe have to be in a different part of the web page than the directions and the actual amount of ingredients have to be different. And I actually am cutting the recipe down, which I have included recipe links down below in the description for today. I actually got the initiative done today. I actually got the I actually have everything ready down in the description if you want to take a look into it. So, as you can see, got a little bit of foamy, which is good. And I was gonna do a thing, unfortunately. And the thing I was gonna do was, this is actually the pot that I'm gonna do the culinary lie thing in, and I'm gonna just go ahead and get this on the fire pit, just to get it going. But unfortunately, I forgot to grab my dish soap before stream, and one of the things my family will do on camping trips is we will coat the outside of our containers with dish soap. And when you do that with dish soap, when you coat the outside of the container you have on the fire pit with dish soap, it actually makes it easier to get the soot off. Wowie. Okay, tea's still hot, which is fine. That is fine. I can splash a little bit of water in there, and then I'm going to add a little bit more water to this pot here. Now, I'm probably going a little overkill with the amount of water I have in here, but I just want to have more than enough versus too little, because it's boiling water. It's literally just boiling water. It's a simple thing to have too much of. It is a really simple thing to have way too much of. Well, it's not a bad thing to have too much of. Okay, T, are you ready? Okay. He's definitely a little too still warm. Okay. But yeah. This is actually something I've been wanting to do for a while. As far as pretzels and beer cheese. So yeah, it's actually really nice to actually get around to actually finally doing this, and this is actually frothing up nicely. I was not expecting such a nice frothing up with that, so that means we'll have plenty good yeast activity for the dough. Okay, once it becomes frothy, I want to add melted butter. Oh no, advertising. Oh wait, that's my beer cheese. How much melted butter do I need? Pizza dough, I need half tablespoon of salt, and a half tablespoon of unsalted butter. Okay. So, I don't immediately have access to melted butter, so I should start making that melted butter happen. Which is gonna involve me shuffling stuff around. Being somewhat awkward. But for usual viewers, this should not be too far out of the ordinary for what I am. I'm generally I'm a fairly awkward guy at times. So, I've got some butter here. This is unsalted butter. I ripped off just a small piece. I would like to have ripped off a bigger piece. So, I'm gonna just... Wow, this just tears really easily. Granted, this is also my first time buying this brand of butter. Because the standard brand of butter I buy is actually salted. And since this recipe called for unsalted butter, I bought this brand, which is actually an import brand. And yeah, so I'm a little bit new to it. So we're gonna just whoa, hey now, butter in the thing, please and thank you. Whoa. Okay. And I see a little bit of trash. And we'll get that removed out. And then for the butter, we'll throw that on the fire pit for a little while. And that should hopefully melt nicely. But that's actually frothing reasonably nicely, so. So in addition to melted butter for our dough, we're also going to need some salt. So if I could shove that back in the thing, we'll get that out. So salt. Wait, over here. Yes. Dough salt. Salt for dough. Okay, let's see. Okay, that butter is actually melting reasonably quickly. And I want... Let's see. I want this container. I have a cornucopia of things. Wow. And here we go. So this is going to be the container I'm going to make the dough in. Granted, that's actually looking amazing. I think we might actually be successful today. As long as the Dutch oven part works out. As long as the Dutch oven part works out, we should be successful. That's going to be the slightly nerve-wracking part. Okay, so once that's frothy, I can add salt and melted butter to it. So with, I consider it reasonably frothy enough to get my salt ready. So we're going to just add our salt in, and we're going to stir it in. Which all this frothiness means that the yeast are doing their job very happily. Very, very happily. Salt, you can go live down there. Please and thank you. And as far as my butter, butter's looking good. I just need to grab a glove. There we go. Ah! Woo! Okay. Oh, that was really good for melting butter. Oh, man. The water's certainly taking its time, which is fine, but that butter definitely melted very quickly. Okay. Butter, you can go down there. So we now have yeast. So in this container, we have yeast, water, salt, butter. So, yeah. And sugar. And can't forget that good old sugar. And I'm just going to throw a little bit in there. And then get the rest a bit of it. And then with that, this is going to be the beginning of our base for the pretzels. Now it's time to get into adding flour. So for today, we're going to be doing so I'm actually paring down the recipe by half, and that's kind of one of the complicating things I have to manage. And by complicating, I mean a thing I have to be mindful of. So this recipe calls for all-purpose flour. I actually coincidentally do not have all-purpose flour, but I do have. So this is whole grain flour. This is half cup measure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go in with a half cup. Add this in. And flour, you can hang out over there. Since that's going to soak in reasonably quickly, I'm going to go over here. And I actually have some pizza dough flour. I think it's pizza dough specifically? Yeah, it's pizza flour specifically. So I'm going to be going with a 50-50 mix, well, a split mix between pizza dough flour and whole grain flour. Ooh. Just because this is the flour I have on hand. This is the flour I have on hand. It's what's available to me. I'm going to use that versus buy more flour and just have more flour laying around. Because I don't like having too much flour laying around. So, with my 2 types of flour added, we're just going to be giving this a stir to make up the dough. So we're looking to eliminate any wet spots, all that fun stuff. So far it's looking pretty good. Never seen pretzel process, looks fun. It's guilty of that. It's not too terrible. It's just you have to do pretzels, you have to do one thing specifically. And then past that, you have to. It's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Dad's old shop mentioned earlier. You have to have a culinary lie ready, or basically something that's a bit more. Gosh, what is it? What's the opposite of acidic? Basic. You have to have something basic. In my case today, I'll be using baking soda as my base, as my basic base. Basic base. Oh god. But yeah. So this is, with this addition, this represents 1.5 cups of flour to my pan, which this is actually really coming together nicely. I always wanted to try my hand at breads. I've only done my own crusts for pies. Ah, okay. I've done a little bit of bread baking. I will say this, exercise a little bit of caution in terms of your expectations for bread, because if you do homemade bread, it will spoil exceedingly quickly. Which is, because I tried getting into bread like far before that like pandemic even like was an idea. Like probably even before like 2015. But the thing with bread is homemade bread spoils very quickly. That's kind of like the downside to homemade bread is it spoils very quickly. You can start with flatbeds like tortillas and capillators if yeast intimidates you. Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point, Dad's old shop. Okay, cool. So we got have to imagine. I know there's a lot of preservation methods and ingredients that exist in modern processes. Yeah, but that's like the only like big downside to like making to like homemade breads, especially if you're going with like a standard like. Because I think a basic bread recipe just calls for water, flour, yeast, and a little bit of salt. Those types of bread recipes will, after you bake them, you should probably consume them within 2 days, otherwise you'll have a mold colony. And that's just like the downside to like those types of bread. Okay. See, add a cup of flour at a time. You may need to add more or less than the recipe calls for. So if you can press your finger into the dough and it bounces back, it's ready to knead. Knead dough for 5 minutes or more until it's smooth and palatable. Okay. So far, this is definitely looking pretty doughy. It's sticking together nicely. It's actually come together, and it's definitely a little bit on the sticky side. I might go ahead, just add a little bit of flour to it, a little bit more flour to it, not a lot, because this is at the point. Because if you add too much, it gets like too dry and crumbly. But we're trying to go from like a. Because if you have a little bit too much moisture in your dough, it's like sticky. Whereas if you get it like just right, you end up with like a little bit of like a flour crust, and it's like really good. Which I think with that last bit of flour it just added, we're looking really good here, because this is turning into a very nice bread dole, a bread round. It's definitely looks a little bit on the sticky side, but that's looking pretty good. Woohoo! Got a little bit of bounce back to it. I wonder if I want to add a little bit more flour to this. Because it's a little bit on the sticky side. So, I'm also just, as far as like my additional flour, I'm just adding the pizza flour in. Because there's a couple times when I've added this additional flour in, I end up with like a kind of a bit more of a dry outside. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for here. A dry, reasonably cohesive whole. Granted, this does not look too bad, I don't think. Because it's a reasonably cohesive whole. As you can see, it's got a little bit of stretch to it, which is good, because that means it's adhering to itself. And, you know what? Let's hit this with a little bit more flour. Because this doesn't I think after this I should be good with flour. I hope so. We'll see. I think I was definitely a little bit generous with the amount of water I used. But there's a certain little bit of I know there's a little bit of an aesthetic to aim for, which I'm getting a little aggressive with turning this. Let's get the measure. Let's reduce the amount of materials on my work surface. Fewer things on the work surface means fewer things to knock over. But yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty cohesive whole. It sticks to itself readily, but it's also not super sticking to the pan. Well, the bowl. Ooh, got a real nice whiff of bread just there and then. It's actually looking reasonably good. This is looking good. Almighty recipe. What say you? Okay. You need more or less than the recipe calls for. If you press your finger into the dough and bounce it back, it's ready to knead. Knead dough for 5 minutes until it's smooth and palatable. So, it's a little bit sticky. So, oh, it tastes good though. Oh boy, that's gonna make good pizza dough. Not pizza dough. Pretzel dough. I think we'll hit this with a little bit more flour. And then we get the knead dough for. Granted, I'm also gonna probably count what I've been doing now as part of the kneading process. Rest, knead, rest. We're gonna do kind of like mix, combine, knead. Then we're gonna rest, and then we'll go from there. Granted, I gotta say, like, this is so far looking like a reasonably decent crumb of bread. Because it's pretty sticking to each other. Granted. Unfortunately, this is also fire pit stream, and my fire pit's kind of dying. Yeah. Gotta keep that fire alive, man. Because especially once we get them knuckles in there. Oh nah. That's the reason why I actually went with like the thick wooden spoon. Is the thick wooden spoon's like really good for like putting a lot of like torque on it, because yeah. Once upon a time back in my younger days, I actually used to bake cookies reasonably often, like in my late high school years, and boy oh boy did I break I broke multiple of my mom's spatulas back in those days. Thank goodness I didn't discover bread then, because then I would have probably like really broke some. Really broke some. Some spatulas. But yeah, spread that out. Keep folding it in on itself. That's gonna be how we do this. At least as far as like actually like kneading it. I'm reasonably optimistic I don't have to get my knuckles in here. So I'm gonna have to powder them. Also, I can't. One of the downsides of my workstation being a piece of plywood on what basically amounts to a cinder block is this does not offer a lot of flexibility. Like if I press down on it, like it will want to pop up. Which is why I kind of like the idea of just working this with a spatula versus actually like getting my... Ooh, bump the mic there. Versus actually getting like my knuckles in there. Yikes. This is kind of one of the downsides of having maple firewood. Like, maple firewood just burns out so quickly. big downside to it. Let's see. Oh wow, we're 45 minutes in and we're just been working dough. Oh, dough. Okay. I think we're doing a reasonably good job with working the dough. Let me grab a fork just to clean off the spatula. Get all that doughy goodness off. Hey, you. There we go. Okay. Let's see. Hey, your stream, your rules. Yep. If you want to get your knuckles deep into it, by all means. I look forward to watching that stream. Until it's smooth and palatable, so I feel like we got to that point, and then shape into a large ball, place in lightly oiled bowl covered with damp towel, let rest for 15 minutes. So, I have bowl. My goodness gracious. Let's see. Can I don't know. I'm going to be aggressive here. I'm going to be aggressive. And by aggressive, I mean I'm going to just boil one side of my bowl. And then I'm just going to layer my dough ball over into that side. Probably not the correct order of operations, but as you said, my stream, my rules. There we go. There we go. Where's the forkadoodles? I need the forkadoodles. One forkadoodles. Okay. So, I think that's reasonably good for the dough. Then we let this rest for 15 minutes. Granted, just because we're going to let this rest for 15... Well, actually, I need to grab a towel to cover this. One moment. Towel, 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 towel. Where's it? Okay. I know where a towel is. The cornucopious amounts of wood smoke. Gotta love it. Oy, oy, oy. Okay. So, I got a towel. And we're gonna cover this. I'm actually gonna let this sit. Can I put this on top of the tea kettle? I can put it on top of the tea kettle. I just have to pull the tea kettle away. Make that sittable. Cool. So that's done. The reason I want to set it on the tea kettle is to have a little bit of like heat. There we go. There you go, you piece of firewood. And actually, I'm gonna get up again. Grab a few more pieces of firewood. There we go. There we go. Okay. Sweet. That's dough prepped. Done. I'm gonna double check my recipe. Let rest 15 minutes. Not to be confused with rising. Doesn't need to be double inside. The dough is just resting. Then bring mixture to boil. Okay, so I was talking about that part of the process right now. However, though, I still have quite a bit of work to be done. And a bit of that work is, well, we've got the dough prepped. and we're letting it rest now. But the thing is, this is pretzels and beer cheese. We gotta worry about the beer cheese. So, I need to grab. Do I want that? Sure. Let's take a bowl. Let's take a bowl. And then I need a plate, a grater, and most importantly, a block of cheese. Because, let's see. Knife. So, we're going to actually grate up some sharp cheddar cheese for this beer cheese. And we're going to just go ahead and get, like, this is actually like one of the prep steps for the beer cheese while we're letting our pizza dough rest. And also, I would really appreciate it if that fire would kind of kick up a bit more. Come on, fire. Come on, fire. Come on. Why do I have to baby you? Banga! Woohoo! There's ash everywhere. But there's flames! I've got so much ash in my water. Ash has literally just spread like confetti. But I have flames again. Because I actually need flames. I actually need flames because flames means the wood's burning and the wood needs to burn down so I can have coals, and I need coals in order to use the Dutch oven. The fun sequence of... The fun thing of, like, I need one thing to make this thing happen, and then... etc, etc. So... And the reason why I'm actually grating my own cheese for this is because if I were to use like shredded cheese from a bag, shredded cheese has anti-caking compounds, and it's not good for making like a cheese sauce, which that's basically what beer cheese is. Beer cheese is basically a cheese sauce. So I'm going to be grating cheese. Grating sweet, sweet, glorious, sharp cheddar cheese. Which there's actually 2 cheeses in that this recipe calls for. I forget what the original what the original cheese for what the original name for the second cheese is. You have same things with like Parmesan for yeah, you can't use like pre-shredded cheese. You have to like shred the cheese yourself. Otherwise the cheese will not be good. Well, it's not good for like the application. Whereas in this case, we would definitely want to be like, we want to have like the right cheese for the right application. And this is kind of one of the more work-heavy prep steps that I have to do today. So we're just going to go ahead and try and knock this out while our dough is resting. Which, holy smokes, that is a pile of... I thought I had enough bowl. I may not have had enough bowl. We will see. We will see if I have enough containers, which I have another bowl, but we'll see how things go. Granted, I reckon we're reasonably close to halfway through this block of cheddar, so we'll see. I'm not too worried about it. Chuck the cheese up in it. Wait, chuck the cheese up in the drill? Wait, Dad's old shop. Wait, you're talking about like a wait, you're not... You're You're talking like a food processor. I don't want to food process this. I want this to be manual. I want to feel the. I want to put the sweat. I want to salt these pretzels with sweat. Kind of. Granted, I honestly have plenty of regular salt to not worry about having to use like actual sweat for the getting these pretzels nice and like salty. Granted, this is really getting cut. Analog cheese action, I respect it. Yeah, that's what I respect out of well, that's actually the reaction out of a hand tool worker that I expect. Because I'm kind of a... Because generally speaking, as far as like woodworking is concerned, I'm more of a... I use whatever tool I feel like is appropriate to get the job done. Which I have actually... Well, actually just yesterday I got a new tool that I will use at some point in a stream. I'm not entirely sure when I will use it for in a stream, because I'm not sure what my next project's gonna be as far as woodworking is concerned. But I have bought a new tool because work was like, hey Sugi, we're gonna like throw more money at you. And then I was like, okay, well, this seems like a perfectly good time to get a new tool. When work's like, hey, we're gonna throw a little bit more money at you. And now we're getting to the fun part of this analog cheese action, and that is the part where the blocks get really small. Which is admittedly fine, because as long as I can get things to a small enough level, because really what shredding all this cheese down for the recipe does is it makes it a lot easier to teaser, yay, keep your secrets. I'm not really so much of a secret guy, I just don't want to be like, hey, check out the new tool. I don't, because unfortunately a thing that exists on this platform is guys selling tools, and I don't want to seem like a type of guy who sells tools. I just want to be like, hey look, this is a tool I bought and I'm excited for it. It's kind of the vibes I want to go for. I don't want to become a tool sales guy, even though for various reasons I am very firmly on, well, I will say this, it's a Makita. It's a Makita product. And the reason why it's a Makita product is because I'm on the Makita battery system. And it's a Makita battery tool. So, yeah. But if you truly want me to spill the beans, I have no problems with that. It's just I don't want to... fellow Makita user respect. As far as like battery systems, I'm a Makita guy. Granted, I also had the corded Makita electric hand plane, but past that, my shop is kind of like a mixture of tools. All the Makita coffee makers. I will assure you, it's not the Makita coffee maker simply because I'm a tea guy. I'm a tea guy before I'm a coffee guy. Granted, I have looked at the Makita powered cooler. I've been tempted by that. As far as like the stuff in like their outdoor lineup, that's been tempting. That's been tempting to me. Yeah. Actually, is there any more prep work I want to do for beer cheese? Because I've got all this cheese shredded. It's just measuring a whole bunch of stuff out, and then I have to do a bunch of cooking. I have to do a whole bunch of cooking. Okay. And let's see. There's that. There's... Oh, fun. Oh, there... Okay. Nice. So at least with the beer cheese recipe, my step process is located right below my ingredient listing. So that makes my life a little bit easier. Because I actually have... The cooler is a running joke in my group where we think it's dumb, but all think it's cool. Like, it's kind of dumb, but it's also kind of useful. Is kind of sort of my thought on the Makita cooler. Because I'm a person who does a little bit of camping. I do stuff like this. There's definitely a attractiveness to having, like, it is something that has a use, but it's still certainly a novelty use case with the Makita cooler. Not entirely sure if I would actually like spring for it, because one of the issues with the Makita line of products is, well, you sure do get what you pay for with the Makita line of products. Definitely not cheap. Which I will say, second spoiler for the tool I bought is I actually bought a factory reconditioned tool, and that actually saved me about 50 bucks off the price, because for a lot of the stuff I do, I'm not using this tool every day. Yeah, solves a campaign problem. But I am a big believer in like factory conditioned tools, because one, not only does that give that tool a new lease on life, but two, I get to save a little bit of money, which I saved 50 bucks off the price of like a new thing. So I need to shift some cheese around, because our dough has been resting for 15 minutes. Whoa, wow, that's actually expanded in size quite a bit. That has actually expanded in size quite a bit. Okay, so things are gonna get interesting from here on out. I'm gonna actually throw some wood at the fire. Yeah, still needs to go through Q&A too, so I'm more than comfortable getting tools that way. Yeah, among other things too. Yeah. I mean, I'm also cool with buying tools used, because I have bought a fair amount of tools used. Granted, if I'm buying from a real... Granted, I do like the idea of just like a factory reconditioned tool, which I bought my electric hand planer factory reconditioned, and one of the things I thought was very nice about it was the fact that the cord on the electric hand planer seemed basically new. Basically a new like cord, which was nice. So it is time to actually do some dividing up of this dough. Which is compounded by the fact that I have so many things going on. I have so much stuff. There's a lot of components to doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and actually revisit my recipe. So let rest, fuse with rising, double inside, the dough's just resting, preheat oven. Well, we're not doing that necessarily. Then there's the baking soda bath. So I should probably go ahead and, yep, dough shape soda bath. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna be preparing our lye base bath, which don't know if... Actually, where's my measuring things? Measuring things. Hello, measuring things. Which I don't know if my water in my kettle there, over there has necessarily hit boiling. Being very steamy, though. But we're going to throw some baking soda at it. Now, the reason why we're throwing baking soda at this is what truly makes a pretzel a pretzel. Because to get that nice, like, golden brown crust, you have to, like, throw it in a, like, a lye-based bath. Okay. Yeah, that's warm. That's very warm. I underestimated that. That's on me. Ooh, okay. Well, that's enough of that. That is enough of that. So, pretty much your boil, take off heat. Okay, so I actually want. Okay, so I actually want that to come down to a lukewarm temperature, which do a thing once. I'm an overexcited idiot. Do a thing twice without personal protective equipment. I'm truly an idiot. So, oh, wow! Even through the leather glove, that is very warm. Okay. Okay. That's exciting. That is very exciting. Okay. So, while our lye bath solution cools down, we're going to take this dough and we're going to cut it up into pieces. Ideally, we get this cut up into 4 pieces. Which I don't think this is what I want to cut. Not how I think it's going to cut. Granted, let's go ahead and let's be unnecessarily optimistic. Let's be unnecessarily optimistic. Ooh. Okay, cool. So that's going to be 2 halves. That's going to be 1. Cool. Cool. I'm going to get a little bit of... I'm going to just splash a little bit of flour on my thing here. And then I'm just going to roll this in my hands for a little while. Until I get a bit of a nice dough ball. And then once I get a dough ball, I'm going to roll it this way. Kind of try to stretch it out into a bit of a rope. So we're actually now starting to form pretzels. I'm probably going to just make 2 pretzels for stream. And I'm going to save the other 2. I'm going to have the other 2 like dough balls in the dough pan off to the side for later. Granted, I do like the fact that this... I've worked with dough before and have had to deal with very sticky dough before, and the fact that this hasn't been super sticky is really nice. And we kind of... I think the recipe calls for about 20 inches of length at around 3/4 of an inch across, so. Which I think, looking at my setup, ooh. Oh, broke. Alkaline station. Starch, as well as breaking down some proteins, making the heat from baking brown more readily. Ah! Figured it was probably something along those lines. On the outside of the pretzel. Yeah. Granted, this dough is now starting to stick to me. I had a good rope going and now it's broken and now the dough's starting to stick to my hands and it's like, oh no. Now I'm starting to reveal the fact that I'm actually not really that much of an expert when it comes to dough. Which is also kind of another reason why I'm doing this today is because, granted, I feel like there's better ways to work with this. I feel like there's a better way to do this. There's a better way to do it. Oil your hands. I mean, I had a fair bit of oil in my hands. I was thinking about, I was actually hitting it. I actually had a fair bit of olive oil, but you know what? I'm gonna take your advice, Dad's little chop. Get some olive oil going here. Get some olive oil on these hands. There we go. Oily hands. I feel disgusting. I feel like there's reasons why I don't work with dough very much on the stream. I don't find this cooking process to be particularly pleasant. Okay. This is working nicely. So just gonna stretch this out. Hopefully we'll get a nice... Okay. Whoa. I know you're wanting to break. Okay. Now I gotta make a pretzel shape, which this is gonna be difficult for me. So bear with me. I have to go to my... I have to look at a pretzel. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think I know what I need to do. So I have this in the reverse. I need to do something like this. Apparently I need to have this longer. I need to have this be a bit longer. Ooh, yeah, goodness gracious, I need this to be long. Yeah. Well, I get the prayer hands thing, but also at the same time, I'm also like... I also need to, like, think about the, how to do the thing. Granted, I don't... Because this thing does wanna... I don't know if I have enough dough for what I want to do. So, we're just going to add a little bit of extra dough to it. And then with this, I should be able to get... Because the recipe calls for like a 3/4 of an inch round thing. Like, yikes. Because I always keep getting like a weak point. Which I've been trying to like soften up, but I think I'm gonna just have to embrace the weakness and be a little bit careful here. Boy. But yeah. Local VTuber is a total amateur at making pretzels. Okay. And then we'll bring this part in, then this part, and then twist them together. And then it is crude in form, but that's a pretzel. It's a pretzel. It's not a great pretzel, but it's a pretzel. Because, man, this is not fun. Or at least the forming the pretzel part. It's not fun. Okay. That's one. I want to make 2 pretzels. Huge for a seems huge for a You're doing fine. Sir? Sir? I mean, I've had Bavarian-style pretzels as big as this plate. Like, this seems reasonable to me. Granted, I don't like how stringy the dough is. Makes it seem like it's very fragile. Granted, I think the way this is going to turn out is probably going to end up with just 3 pretzels out of this, which I'm fine with just 3 pretzels. Bird. Bird. Which coincidentally is very funny because my family hails from Bolivia. At least ancestrally. Okay. Because it's kind of like the rough part with this is if I try to make it as a rope hanging in the air, gets a little thin and wants to break on me because of the way of the dough. So let's bring these in, twist them together, hold them down. Looks very fugly. Looks very fugly, but we're gonna stretch it out though. I'm only concerned about getting the shape reasonably good. That is somewhat pretzel shape. Whoa! Hey, you. Get into the fire pit. Okay. Yikes. Great, I got oil-covered hands. Okay. Shaped pretzels. Yeah, 3/4 of an inch long, 20-19 inches, cut into shape into pretzel. Okay, so place into the baking soda bath for 2 minutes. So I need to do 2 minutes per pretzel. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. So I got my bath here. I'm actually going to go ahead and make this my first victim. Figure 8 style pretzels too. They don't need twists. Okay, so I got my first pretzel in there. It's going to hang out in there for 2 minutes, and then after that, I'm going to pull it out. And then I got the other pretzel. Holy smokes. Actually, I'm going to leave my hands oiled. Leave my hands oiled. Oh, okay, I did grab them. I grabbed them. I grabbed my clippies. I got my clippies, man. I can clip my pretzels out there. Great. Okay, that's good. And in the meantime, I can grab the myth, the legend, the Dutch oven. Granted, the Dutch oven's actually going to go in the spot that I have my Dutch oven. The Dutch oven's eventually going to go in the spot where I've got my pretzels soaking in a bath. A bath of baking soda. But first off, we're gonna hit this with olive oil. Good old olive oil. And since I have a handy dandy brush for today, I'm just gonna brush that oil out. Hopefully get it reasonably nice coating. I think with how compact I've made my pretzels, I might be able to fit 2 in here. Maybe. That's a pretty big maybe. But I need a shovel, so I'm gonna go get a shovel right quick. Shovel Coon. We're a big fan of Shovel Coon here. Ugh, there we go. Okay, and I need to, in addition to worrying about all the having old hands impacts my ability to finagle with fire. Who would have thought? Okay, cool. So that's all broken up. That's all good. Hey, now don't go fool like that. And fire. Do that stuff. But yeah, Dutch oven's gonna kind of hang out here for a little bit. This is the troublesome thing with doing these types of streams is I'm sitting down, and when I'm sitting down, that greatly limits the amount of room I have around me. But I think that first one has been sitting in there for the pre-rect few minutes. Oh, don't. I can't grab that like that. Okay. Let's grab this. Oh, come on. This is hot. Oh, God. Oh, come on. Baking soda bath? Baking soda bath? Baking soda bath? Why do you do this? Ugh, it's hot. It's hot. It's really hot. I'm gonna hit it with some water. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Okay. And yep, and that is the sad excuse of a pretzel we have now. How do people do this? How do they do this? This is nonsense. Oh, hey now. Because my dough's become horrendously soggy. Which I'm trying to dry it out, but goodness gracious. Because it's like, how do people handle dough? Because why is dough so, like, not low? We're built, yes, we're built very different. We're built very different. Ugh. I'm just surprised at how soggy it's become. Because I've seen this done. Granted, my family's made pretzels. Granted, that's probably because it's sat for too long. That's probably... I'll chalk it up to being in the water for too long. So I'll definitely be really watching this other one. Because I think what I might do is I might actually try to reform this. That's actually what I think I should do. I think I should reform it. Because this is so gooey of a mess. So gooey of a mess. And you know what? I do know with flour. Well, with dough, you can just add flour to kind of dry it out. Make it a little bit better. So, I'm going to go ahead and remove pretzel 2 from And that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Okay. So. Our pretzels have been in our sodium dough bath. I mean, this probably might not fully come up the way we expect it to, because some of this flour has not been sodium watered, whatever. But I do want to have. I would like to get a reasonably successful result today, so I'm gonna try for that. Granted, I feel like this is also another thing with like recipes, is sometimes they don't include enough details. They don't include like, hey, pro tips to handle dough 101. Part of it too is the whole grain. Harder to form gluten as the oils in the whole grain make it harder. Maybe 2 minutes is too long too. No, except for the exact timing. Yeah. Which I was a little bit more conservative with the, but also, hey, Lillian, hi. I always seem to make it in when I'm being very awkward. Which is also kind of a reason why I used mostly the pizza flour for this versus, man, it's just so goopy. My pretzels have turned out so goopy. Granted, I just feel like any attempt for me to work with bread on this channel is just like cursed. Any attempt to make bread on this channel is like cursed. Like if I attempt bread, then I'm cursed. Which sucks because I would like to do more bread stuff with the Dutch oven, but it's all like, look what it's doing to my hands, man. It's just goopy and sticks to everything. Not even oiled my hands. Goodness gracious. And some people just make this look easy, and I dislike those people right now. Because they'll just like work with it, do their thing, and I'm just like, how do you do that? Granted, it's also just like, once again, what I said earlier, like recipes tend to be very deficient. Like, what was it? My family's recipe for peanut butter balls. The recipe as it was written down didn't mention that. Granted, the stove's spraying. It's spreading out. I don't like that. I don't like that. It needs to be firmer. But yeah, the peanut butter ball recipe that my family had, that's been like kind of like passed down in the family. The recipe card didn't mention, just no mention whatsoever, of the fact that you have to chill the dough before you work with it. So when I tried to make that recipe after a long period of time of like not having made it, I ended up with hands worse than these, and I was just like, something's going wrong. I am missing information. What is my missing information? And then I Googled it, and then Google's just like, yeah, you're supposed to chill the dough at this step, and the recipe didn't even mention it whatsoever, and I was exceedingly angry. I was really angry about that. Like, the fact that there was a really critical step, and it was just not mentioned whatsoever. I was like, damn it, ancestors. Stop presuming that dough could use a lot more kneading, probably. It'll be sticky until it comes together, and then it'll pull from your fingers. I don't know. This is... Oh, I hate it when recipes mess... Yeah. Like, this is actually a lot more workable than what I had earlier. Like, I actually like this. Like, this is workable. Like, it actually peels away from my fingers. Recipes written by people who already know how to make something. Boo, yeah. Boo. Boo people who already know how to make stuff. Granted, not that like necessarily shame you, it's just you tend to presume the next person knows what they're doing like you know what you're doing, and that's not how the world works. Ooh, that's still being very sticky. It's still being very sticky to my hands. Ugh. Great. I have a long way to, I have such a long way to go when it comes to bread. Working with bread. This is why I don't like working with bread. You gotta know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing. Ugh. Ugh. What do I do? What do I want to do? Do I want to oil hands? Because I have options. Option 1 is oil hands. Let's oil hands. What have I done to you, my beloved oil container? There we go. Man. Grant, I will get like hitting it with your, like hitting it with CPR. Oh, CPR levels. Okay, that certainly does change things a little bit. Granted, I'm gonna just try to form this up into a. If I can get this reasonably formed up into a pretzel, I'm gonna call it good and be done. Because I'm kind of tired of playing with dough. I'm kind of tired of playing with dough, if I'm being honest. This is just. This is such. This isn't beer. This isn't what I'm used to as far as like working with grains. Like, why is it so? It's like so goshly sticky. And then I add flour, thinking flour will cause it to set up, and it sets up for a little while, and then it just turns to not good stuff. So you're pushing onto a table surface. It's more advanced mixing. Okay. And for pretzel sticks rods, maybe. Granted, I kind of want to have the whole Bavarian pretzel experience, you know? Granted, dude, I just wish dough would not be such a sticky thing to work with, though. You know, like, because you see some people work with it, and it just is like the most workable thing in the world, and then you get your hands on it, and then it just turns into the most terrible thing in the world. Like, terrible thing in the world. Ay, ay. Granted, I don't know if it's because it's just too wet. Granted, I definitely think after I definitely think after the stream I need to like go on to a deep binge on how to work with bread before I even attempt to play with flour again on this channel. Because it'd be nice if I could just roll it, but it wants to stick to the plate, it wants to stick to the hands, it wants to stick to every surface. Okay. Okay. You know what? Might be time to pivot. Might be time to pivot. Man, I just wish it wasn't as sticky. But hey, this is what happens when complete local amateur tries to play with the dough. How's it taste though? I can at least get that consolation prize. I can at least take bites of it. I had my I've had my share. I once made meatballs that huffed up because I added too much bacon sauce and cornstarch. Friends called them meat marshmallows. Oh gosh. I don't know, meatballs used. The dough tastes lovely though. I really like the taste of this stuff. Almost tempted to just eat on this, but no. So, let's see here. I have various options available to me. And I think the best option is I have one sad pretzel. And I might try to string this out into rods, and then have like some rods. So but the issue is I have to go ahead and, before I do all that, it is time to prep stuff for the Dutch oven. And for prepping Dutch oven, I need coals, man. I need me some coals. So I'm gonna get my shovel full of coals. I'm gonna get a nice bed of coals going. And then once I get a nice bed of coals going, I'm gonna throw a Dutch oven on it. And we'll go from there. And we'll see what we get. I'm sure with pivoting to Pretzels logs, we'll get better results, slightly better results. Whew. Still like how the dough tastes though. Okay, Dutch oven. Over yonder. And I like how handling the shovel causes it to tack up. It's like, with the shovel, it tacks up. But if I touch dough, I just end up with a gooey mess. Maybe only, yeah. I think the amount of dip time needs to be less, which I'm glad we did with the second one. Well, which, by the way, here's our second pretzel. It is not looking great, but it's definitely pretzel-ish. But I'm going to be letting the Dutch oven like warm up for a little bit before I throw this in. Because I'm going to let the Dutch oven warm up. Then I'm going to throw this pretzel in. And then hopefully we'll try to make like 2 pretzel logs. No, that's going to work. Yeah, it's going to look different. I know it's going to look different. The question is like how different? Is it going to look good different or bad different? That's the question. Okay. One moment, I gotta get up because I'm gonna throw this in there. Alright, now. You son of a gun. Come on. Okay, well, that chose to just fall apart. Well, that pretzel just fell apart on me. Now I gotta reform it. Okay. This is, yeah, I am no baker. I can cook, but I can't bake. Well, scratch that. I can make some mean chocolate chip cookies. I just can't work with dough. Apparently that's the lesson today, is I can't work with dough. To save my life. But I will try. Whoa! Hey, wait. Don't be hitting Mike. Please and thank you. Okay. Okay. Hey. Ooh. Okay. Well, give me a moment here. Because I did reasonably all right with the reforming of it. So I'm going to just take chunks off this. Oh, let's get a little bit more. I'm going to try and make some like pretzel logs. I'm going to try and salvage this as best as I can. Okay, that's one. Sorry, I can't really show you guys, but this has gotten awkward enough as is. Okay, one more. Okay. That pretty much tops off the Dutch oven. Where's it? There's my bowl. There's my bowl. Okay. Goodness gracious. Can't believe it's been nearly 2 hours. And I just got the pretzels cooking. Okay. So for a Dutch oven, I need to grab a lid. One lid. Lid. Ooh. Lid. There we go. Lid's on. And let's grab some coals for the top. Hey now. I like some coals, please, and thank you. Grant, that's also the downside to the maple firewood. Maple firewood does not make coals super well. Well, it just burns so quickly. Coals don't have staying power. Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. So, I got firewood on. My hands are absolutely atrocious. I'm gonna throw the BRB screen. I'm gonna get my hands washed. I'm gonna hit the little homesteader's room, and we'll get back to this, okay? Be right back. And I'm back. Okay. Oh, I did hit that camera a little bit more than I thought. Okay, sorry about that. So, we got pretzels baking. Wait, there it is. There's the magical thing. I'm rewarding myself for the amount of work I've put in so far. Which is not like I've put in like a significant amount of work, but yeah, I need to do some. I need to do some work before I start handling dough on stream again, because that was a little too awkward. But at least we can get to the fun part, which is making the beer cheese. That's the fun part. Because even if the pretzels don't turn out right, I can just grab some corn chips and I can just eat the beer cheese with corn chips. So even if the pretzels fail, I am optimistic the beer cheese will turn out well. Which, speaking of which, I need to corral my fire a little bit here. What? Oi. Don't do that. Whoa. Whoa, don't fall. No. Bad grill grate. There we go. I am eventually planning on getting a new fire pit, and hopefully part of that new fire pit is getting a new fire poker. Because I am definitely not a fan of this one. is seen more than its fair share amount of use. Okay. And then if I push, because I want to manipulate that one piece. I got this one piece of wood here. Just one piece of wood. Because I want to create a cool area here and a warm area there for the beer cheese. So for the beer cheese, we're going to be using this medium saucepan. And I gotta, so we need to melt 3 tablespoons of unsalt. So I need to melt 3 tablespoons of this. Then I need to add 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Okay. Okay, that's reasonable. I can work with this. Okay. Woo! Butter time. Butterkin, which there's absolutely no one who's going to get the Butterkin reference. I'll be genuinely impressed if there's someone here who gets the Butterkin reference. And a fork. Probably should not have pushed my stick of butter back into this box. That might have been a mistake on my part. But we'll get it out. There we go. It's out. So, we'll do... It calls for 3 tablespoons and... 3 tablespoons and no packaging. No packaging. Yeah, that's one thing with, like... Okay. That's... Oh my goodness gracious. Well... This isn't going to be the only time I buy this brand of butter. Because the packaging just falls apart. And that's not okay. For me. I'm not okay with the packaging falling apart in my hands. Then, let's see. Not sure. We'll throw this back in the cooler. Back into the cooler. For you. So, for the rest of this, we're going to just melt butter now. And then, once the butter's fully melted, that's my tea. Here's my half. And then there's my table. Okay. So we have those. So once the butter's melted, we're going to go in with 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. We're going to go in with a half tablespoon of garlic and a half teaspoon of onion powder. Is that it? Melt 3 tablespoons unsalted butter in medium saucepan. Medium heat, add 3 tablespoons all-purpose flour. Yep. Half tablespoon of garlic powder. Half tablespoon of onion powder, and whisk until flour is completely absorbed, about 30 seconds. Okay, pretty quick. Mixture should be foamy, and there should be no pockets of flour left. Okay, so this is actually going to be a really quick process. So, anticipating really quick process, we're going to also prepare our handy dandy beer. And then as far as the pretzels are concerned, I'm just going to let them sit in the Dutch oven. I definitely got things a little too hot last time. So I'm just going to be a little bit conservative with my coals. And then I'm just going to just like pretend it doesn't exist for the entire period of time it takes for me to make the beer cheese. And then after I make the beer cheese, then I'll check in on it and we'll see how it is. So I just bought this onion powder today. So I need to crack this open. In today's edition of VTuber versus food packaging, I have it, just not entirely yet. Ooh. Oh man, that smells great. And my butter is almost completely dissolved. Whisk. Check. and beer. Cheers. Woo. Okay. So, reasonably, so far, so good today. Hasn't been the most easygoing of streams, unfortunately, but I feel like we'll get good results. I'm sure the beer cheese will turn out well, regardless. And the butter is almost gone. So I'm going to work with this while it's still relatively cool. So we'll go in with our flour. 1, 2, and 3. So that's our 3 tablespoons of flour. Flour off to the borderlands. Then we'll come in with our onion powder. And last but not certainly least is garlic powder. Which, if you need to know anything about cooking around here, is we're big fans of garlic around here. Or at least I am. I am a big fan of garlic. So we want to just stir and incorporate this in, make sure there's no dry pockets of flour left. And that is the fun part of this recipe, because this part happens very quickly. So, we got that done. Next up is our beer. So, since beer cheese is a uniquely Kentucky dish, we're going to go with the first canned beer in the state. And that is the West 6 Brewing IPA. So since beer cheese is a uniquely Kentucky thing, we're going to go with a uniquely Kentucky beer. Also, I'm a big fan of West 6. And for people out of the state, West 6 does offer delivery for their beer, if you're interested in trying some. The IPA is a pretty standard IPA, but I do highly recommend West 6's Pinot as a beer. It's a really good beer. So I'm going to just give this a nice good whisk. Make sure everything's really incorporated, because we're at the point where I want to make sure I have a good bit of heat. Well, I want to have a nice simmer, but not too aggressive of a simmer. So this is kind of, I've added a lot of ingredients and I need to be careful. Goodbye, beer can. So in addition to the beer, we're going to be adding whole milk. Did I have a... Ah, there it is. There it is. Excellent. Okay. Because I need a cup of whole milk. Oh, wait. Damn packaging. It's gonna just be the dearth of me. There. There we go. Actually, I want to be able to read the part I need to be able to read. I'm going to be a little bit generous with my cup of milk. And then this is going to hit the cooler. And then we're going to go in with just a little bit of a generous helping of a cup of whole milk. And then we're going to just whisk that in. So right now we have unsalted butter, we have onion powder, garlic, flour, beer, and milk in here. And we just want this to slowly simmer. And I'm going to go reference my handy dandy recipe. While whisking constantly, slowly pour in 1 12-ounce beer, 1 cup whole milk, bring to a simmer over medium heat, whisking often. 1 to 3 minutes, continue to cook, whisking off until thick enough to coat the back of the spoon, about 5 minutes. Okay, that's pretty simple, straightforward. I can do that. I am confident that I can do that. But I want some water. Because when you drink, you should always hydrate. Hydrate often. So, we just want to have a nice simmer out of this, and once this thickens up to the point where it's like, you can kind of like coat stuff, we can then actually start adding our cheese. Like this stuff. This wonderful stuff. Cheers. Ooh. Yikes. So, I did not expect this stream to take this long. Granted, the pretzel prep was like unreal. The pretzel prep was truly unreal. But I don't quite have so much of a full simmer, but that's fine. I have lots of flame action going on. I have no doubt in the fact that I am throwing a reasonable amount of heat. Dutch oven feels reasonably warm. Well, so whenever I want to feel like the heat off something, I use the back of my hand, because the nerves on the back of your hand are a little bit more sensitive to heat. Like if you're wanting to just like generally like test the heat of something, use the back of your hand. I learned that from like safety videos for what to do in case of a fire. And if like a building's like burning and you have smoke in your room and you want to like, and say you want to exit through the doorway, well, you got to test the door first, because if the door's too hot, that means there's a fire on the other side and you don't want to open up the door. That's a no-no. So you like test the door and you test it with the back of your hand, and if it's too hot, don't open the door. You probably are better, safer off in your room in the case of a building fire. But yeah, that's where I learned that information from, by the way. But yeah. And really, the whole purpose of whisking often here is, if you ever cook with milk, you understand it burns very easily. Hence why I whisk often. But so far, I feel reasonably optimistic that we're actually not like. You look at the amount of the amount of like fire and stuff happening around this, but I have all that happening around it, not necessarily under it. So I think it's doing a reasonably good job of keeping this at a reasonably appropriate temperature, because I don't even really see much in terms of bubbling out of it. Granted, I'm sure it's gonna get to a decent temperature eventually. But for now, frequent stirring is the name of the game. And then, let's see, I want to double check my recipe since I have a little bit of time here. Because we're basically on step 3, and then step 4 is last. Step 4, reduce heat to low, add half teaspoon kosher salt and grated cheese a handful at a time, whisking between each addition until the cheese is fully melted before adding more. Serve immediately. Okay. So, I like the fact that the beer cheese part is going to be the easy part, whereas the pretzel part has been like the most nightmarish thing ever. But At least this shows that I'm not good at something. I suck at handling dough. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to not be great at everything. It's okay to have weaknesses. Because I can tell you, I can bake a mean batch of chocolate chip cookies. I'm really good at chocolate chip cookies. So. And also I really like it when occasionally Costco will have pizza kits where it's basically just a crust and then you get sauce packets. And it's just that. It's just a crust and sauce packets. But you can get like 4 crusts, 4 sauce packets for like less than $8. So if you just are willing to throw a little bit of your own olive oil, maybe hit it with some garlic, basil, some of your own mozzarella cheese, you can fix up some pretty fire pizzas. Really big fan of those pizza kits. And Costco likes to test my patience because Costco, my local Costco will have them in stock like maybe 4 times a year. So anytime I see them, I buy a whole bunch because they do keep for a couple months. So, but those are nice. I really like working with those because when I'm working with a pizza kit like that, I'm a lot more inclined to like add vegetables to my pizza, like onion, tomato, hell's bells. I'm growing so many daikon radish. I have so much daikon radish lying around. Might as well throw some daikon radish at it, which would be fine. Which, yeah, because daikon radish actually has like a really nice like crunchy texture. Like that would be reasonably okay in a pizza. Yeah. Which I also do plan at some point. Man, I want pretzels now. Sorry, Dad's old shop. We're still a little ways away from pretzels. Because right now I'm just letting my stuff like cook. Which, let's go ahead. Let's see. Can I get a few? I'm actually gonna grab a few more coals for this. I'm gonna be a little bit aggressive about it too. And it's not really a lot. Can I get that? Can I grab that one right there? Yeah. Grab that one right there. Perfect. We'll just do a few. And then... Okay. Cubed on a pizza daikon might work. Yeah, it might work. Like, I was thinking, like, reasonably chunky daikon radishes might work. Ooh. Starting to get a little bit of steam off our sauce mix here. Which... Actually, I'll go ahead and you guys can take a bit of a brief trip. There it is. There is the Dutch oven doing the Dutch oven things. As you can see, I've got some coals on it, but I don't have a whole lot of coals on it. Last time I threw a whole bunch of coals at it, I burnt my mac and cheese. So we're just gonna let it do its thing. I think at 8:45, I might pop that lid off and take a look inside and see how well everything's cooking. Because a really important thing with Dutch ovens is you can't really check them super often. Because if you check them super often, well, every time you check them, the heat, you lose the heat. Hi, Robin. How's life treating you? Hope it's treating you well. Which also, by the way, 2 of the 3 nesting boxes that I installed this past spring have been occupied and birds have used to raise their young. So, yay, wildlife. I like wildlife. I'll cheers to that. Granted, I'm not sure what my neighbors think of my opinion on wildlife, but I am doing everything on the boundaries of my property, so I am well within my rights to do these things. Okay, let's see. I think I could probably use a little bit more fire. Well, first time for everything. Well, yikes. That is certainly a first time for that. But at least salvaged most of it. Ugh. Come here, you. Here, you. Yeah. Granted, the fire smells good right now. Fire smells real good right now. Woo! Poured cold one out. I figured that was probably going to happen one of these days. But you know what? We have extra ingredients for that. Granted, I am happy I actually managed to save it reasonably. And we're going to also be somewhat reasonably careful from here on out. Because heaven forbid this thing not have enough seasonings in it. But yeah, there we go. There we go. And can I bring this just a hair bit? Be a little, well, yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. At least with the webcam. Okay. Yeah. The great joys of a somewhat inflexible setup, but I feel like we can recover at least as far as the beer cheese is concerned. But I was actually expecting a little bit more of a heat out of this, so I'm going to go ahead and move some firewood to actually being like underneath the thing there. But yeah. I mean, granted, I do actually have enough ingredients to where if I had to start over from scratch, I could, but that's honestly just what has just occurred is a lesson in throwing firewood around. Which I know that's kind of like one of the weaknesses of this setup is with the way my grate is, it limits my ability to like add fuel to the fire and stuff like that, which eventually I will be getting a new fire pit. Eventually. Probably sometime this year. But for now, we're going to roll with this one while I have it. And all that good stuff. But I will eventually get a new fire pit because I can start to see through the bottom of this thing. And the big surprise I expect to happen at some point is I'll be doing one of these streams and the bottom of my fire pit will just fall out or something. Okay, it's 846. I'm gonna just play around here. Well, actually, I'm gonna check the Dutch oven right quick. I'm getting dough all over myself. Okay, I'm gonna check a Dutch oven. Great. It's cooking reasonably nicely, but it definitely can use time. So, judging by what I just saw, once the beer cheese is done, we should be good with the pretzels. Or at least that's my optimism. As blind as my optimism can be at times. Okay. Should I just let that continue to slowly heat up, or let's go ahead and we'll just move that one piece a little bit closer. So that way we get a little bit more heat on the beer cheese, because it's actually taking quite a while to do what I expect it to do, which is fine. It's just a little unexpected. So because it's cooking, but it's not like cooking super well or super quickly. Because we're still still pretty runny as far as sauce is concerned. We want it to thicken up. We really want it to thicken up because then I can really throw, because then I can start throwing cheese at it. But yeah. It's gonna get there. I know it will. It's just, it's going to take time, which is fine. I will say, I'm really glad that the weather's held out, because earlier in the week, I was expecting rain during this time, and if it was like heavy rain, I was seriously considering changing the timing for the stream until like the morning tomorrow. But we're doing reasonably well right now, so We're actually getting a little bit more heat on this, so especially on this side away from me. So I see absolutely no reason to change the trajectory. We're going in the right direction right now as far as like making this beer cheese. Let's put it that way. That feels like the optimistic thing to say. And then as far as the pretzels are concerned, they're cooking fairly nicely. I shouldn't have to worry. How long is it going to take me to make this beer cheese? Because I suppose that's the ultimate question. Because the beer cheese... Okay, so the beer cheese is going to be ready as soon as I fully melt and incorporate the cheese into here. But the pretzels aren't going to be done until the pretzels are done. Which, they're cooking. They're doing fairly alright. But I actually don't have the Dutch oven at, like, high enough of a heat. But the heat here is doing really well though. So I think we're gonna stick with this holding pattern because I don't think this cheese will be done for. I don't think the beer cheese will be done for like 10 minutes. Because we're still trying to let this cook down. So we'll let this continue to cook down. And once it's cooked down, we're gonna start. Ah! Tap, 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 tap. And then once the beer cheese is done, then we can worry about pretzels. Stay. Please stay. Please stay. Please stay where you are, Whisk. Please stay where you are. Woo! Pop. Granted. Oh yeah, we're actually getting a real nice simmer out of this. And on one hand, I actually do want to add more wood to the fire, but considering what had just happened earlier, I think I'm going to probably take it easy on adding fuel to the fire for a little while. We're going to take a break from that. But yeah, we're just going to chill. And then we're going to let the cheese sauce do what it needs to do and all that good stuff. So yeah. This may not have been like the best. This probably won't be the best stream in terms of how the food results turn out because dough apparently is my mortal enemy. Well, a great foe that I can't conquer yet. But past that, I'd say it's been pretty alright. Ah! Goodness gracious. Beer's good. Beer's really good. Which I did... Actually, wait a second. I am curious about something. Because I did mention I brewed... Like, I got my Oktoberfest bottled. Okay. So I have done 2 beer brewing streams this year so far. Okay. That's what I was thinking I have done so far. Because So my general plans for like the beer brewing streams has been like once a quarter, but I'm really wanting to do my, because I am thinking about brewing my English Golden Ale for my next beer. Kind of tempted to do that for my next beer brewing stream, and we still got 2 weeks left in this quarter, so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do a beer brewing stream soon. I would like to. I would sincerely like to. But we'll see about that. Ooh. Okay. But yeah, today's been a good day. Maybe not like the best of days because, well, apparently I can't handle dough to save my life. But I can say this. I have this helpless dough. Just sitting here. And the dough's pretty good, though. Dough's good. I just can't manipulate it to save my life. Okay. You know what? It might take longer to do this beard. Apparently, I'm not doing this at a meat. What did the recipe call for? Like what? Medium heat? Yeah. Bring to simmer over medium heat, whisking often 2 to 3 minutes. Continue to cook, whisking often until thick enough to coat the back of a spoon. About 5 minutes. Reduce heat to low, and then add a half teaspoon of kosher salt and grated cheese, handful at a time, whisking between each addition until the cheese is fully melted before adding more. So, okay. Granted, I honestly have no idea what this means by coat the back of a spoon, which sucks because I don't have a back of a spoon. Granted, I know what it's like when this stuff thickens up to a certain point, but if I don't think it's at like a thick enough consistency by the 2.5 hour mark into the stream, then I'm just gonna go for it, because I have the kosher salt. And I will use it. That I will. So, we'll see if it comes down to it. I mean, this definitely does look like it's thickening up. So, yeah, it looks like if we do that time frame, we should be fine. And then that should be enough time to let the pretzels do their thing. And then if I want to take this to a more lower level of heat, I can take this and push it off to the side this way. And that'll be fine. That'll be fine. Because yeah, we're definitely getting a pretty good boil out of it though. But we'll let this cook for 1 more minute. I'm giving it 1 more minute. And then we're gonna start cheesing this up. And speaking of cheese, I should probably prep. Wait. So, this recipe does call for what's it called? Goodness gracious, I gotta figure, because I have to put my eyeballs on what this is. What this cheese is called? It's called Gurrivi cheese. It's like a type of semi-hard Swiss cheese. I'm gonna just honest. My local supermarket doesn't carry that variety, so I'm just going in with Swiss cheese as a substitute cheese, because it calls for sharp cheddar, which is what I have prepared earlier, and then yeah, Swiss cheese. So we have hit the magic mark. Let's start actually making some cheesy. Yeah. Yeah, my supermarket doesn't have that cheese. But they had the Swiss cheese, so I went with the Swiss cheese for today. Oh, wow. Okay, so there's little, like, sticks. So I'm just going to go ahead and start adding slices of the Swiss cheese. And then adding a handful of the cheddar. And then we'll just give good stirs. Then we be very generous with our stirring. Until it's very well incorporated. Whoop. Twist. One. And there's the little like packet things. Always looks like a lot of fun. It's a reasonable amount of fun. I mean, granted, this is beer cheese, so I'm sure this is going to turn out, despite all the various shenanigans of today, this will turn out reasonably well. Turning in lately has had me mad inspired to start campfire cooking. Well, if you want even more inspiration for... It always looks like a... Okay. If you want even more inspiration for campfire cooking, the TV anime, Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skill. That show is actually going to get its 2nd season starting in October. And that's a really fun show. I very recommend... I cannot recommend that show enough. I honestly cannot recommend that show enough. Actually, can I hit this thing with my... Oh yeah, I love that one. It's good vibes. Yes, it's such a good vibe show. It is such an incredibly good, just good vibe show. I don't think I hit this thing with my half teaspoon of kosher salt. So let's hit this with my half teaspoon of kosher salt. There we go. Yeah, it's just such a comfy show. Also, it's Mappa's cooking show, which, back when season 1 first came out, one of the top comments on the Crunchyroll website for the show back when Crunchyroll supported comments was someone just being like, "Guys, the cooking show from Mappa's out." And I'm just like, yeah. Come on. Come on, cheese, get in there. We have a whole lot of cheese to get in there. Yeah. You just gotta love it when like the anime fandom with like one brain cell is just like, guys, Mappa's making a cooking show. Wait, did... I'm trying to think, did Mappa do Delicious and Dungeon Meshi? I want to say yes, but I've also only seen like the first like 2 to 3 episodes of Dungeon Meshi, so I can't definitively say for sure. Okay. Ooh. Now, okay, Dungeon Meshi was triggered. Okay. Thank you very much. Love Dungeon Meshi. Dungeon Meshi is currently one of the #1 reasons why I think I need to get a Netflix account so I can watch Dungeon Meshi. Because I think I watched like 2 episodes with friends, and it was a really good show. I've been working on a cover for the 2nd season ED for a while now. Well, I certainly hope that works. That turns out well for you. And here's the rest of my cheddar cheese. It's in limbo for some art commission shit. Oh. Yeah, I feel that. I really feel that. Because I think my super recommend if you took Campfire Gift. I really do want to try it out. Like, Dungeon Meshi definitely feels like my kind of show. It's just I have to, like, get a Netflix account for it. Stir, 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 stir. Because I've actually done, like, a couple of these streams have actually been inspired by Campfire cooking. Particular ones I can think of off the top of my head was the one where I did a gyudon stream, but rather than using beef for the gyu and don, I used deer meat. And man, that was a pretty good. That recipe turned out really good. I was really happy with how that turned out, and that was inspired by Campfire cooking. I did spaghetti with meat sauce. That was inspired by Campfire cooking. I did a couple. I actually did like the first recipe from Campfire cooking, and that is the first evening recipe. Pot of ofu. That was inspired by Campfire cooking, which I actually liked it so much that from the first time I did it, I actually did it a second time for the B-Day stream. So just a heads up on what my B-Day streams end up being is they basically end up being the stream where it's like, okay, I enjoy, like, I've done a lot of like recipes over the course of the year. The recipe I like the most I do as a repeat recipe. I'm just gonna pour a little bit extra beer in there because I can. And it helps me finish this one off quicker. Which I actually have to do. Bah! Because things are starting to get dangerous. And by dangerous, I mean the rain chances I thought I dodged I have not entirely dodged. So we're gonna give this a nice, really good stir. I mean, at this point in time, like, the beer cheese is pretty much just about done, but I am gonna go ahead and try to. I have a lot of coals at the underside of this, so I'm kind of wanting to. Let's see. Will you hang out there? Stay. Stay. Please stay. I'm begging you. Please stay. Okay. Sweet. So that's done. The beer cheese is done. And if that's going to stay put, I'm going to take this, put it off to the side, and then I'm just going to lightly add that piece of wood. Because I tried to aggressively add wood earlier, and I nearly lost what I was doing due to my negligence. So I'm going to crack open a fresh can of Softboro, and then I gotta move this over somewhere. Deary. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, come on. Yeah, I should wear these gloves. I should wear these gloves. Okay. So, since the beer cheese is pretty much done, I think it's time to do a reveal on the pretzels and how they've been doing, because they've actually been cooking for quite a while. So we'll see how they're doing. So here is the lovely Dutch oven, and I'm gonna crack this. I'm gonna take this lid off, and that's the reveal there. Which, honestly, this smells amazing. It smells absolutely amazing. But I want to. What do I want to do? Because I'm debating whether or not I want to salt my bread in the Dutch oven or salt it elsewhere. Which I think I'll. Whiskey cheese. Oh wow! Woohoo! Yeah. Actually, the bottom is very cooked. Wow! But there we go. Here's the pretzels. Done. Well, kind of. I'm gonna be grabbing me some kosher salt, because you honestly can't have pretzels without a reasonably cornucopious amount of salt on them. So I'm gonna just be generously hitting these guys with some salt. And then I think they have to sit for a bit. So Salty. Oh man, that tastes good. That tastes really good. But let's see here. Let's get a little bit more fuel on the fire because this stream's actually taken long enough. I'm actually starting to lose daylight. I was not expecting today to take this long, and it has, and granted that is honestly due to me being a little bit deficient in my ability to actually let's set that there. That's a good spot for it. But yeah, I'm a little deficient in my ability to handle dough. So I think at some point I might try to do a breakfast stream where I try to cook biscuits in the Dutch oven, and we'll see how that goes. Okay. But yeah, we got beer cheese, we have pretzels, we have all the components of today's dish. So, I'm gonna... Ooh! Okay, so pretzels are warm. Very warm, by the way. No! No pretzel gets left behind. Oh, come on. So, a little bit of beer cheese with pretzel. Oh my god. Oh, it's so good! It's so incredibly good. Oh my god. Oh man. Oh man. Okay. So, pretzels, was I super successful with? By no means, no. I can't say I was successful with pretzels, but man, the beer cheese portion, absolute fire. Absolute fire. But it's also beer cheese. And, like, I genuinely cannot state this enough. If you have not had the chance to try beer cheese at some point in your life, by all means, if the opportunity comes to you, give it a shot. This stuff tastes amazing. Yes, bird. We hear... I'm pretty sure we hear... Ooh, fireflies. Sorry, I'm really distracted. Because I have a bird chirping loudly to my right, and then in the garden I have a whole bunch of fireflies doing their thing. It's nice. It's really nice. But yeah, beer cheese is amazing. Pretzels are amazing. I'm sorry, but I have to like yammer. I have to yammer. I have to yap. I gotta do different things because I need these pretzels to chill. They're a little too toasty right now. Granted, we definitely got a pretty good like golden crust to them. So, despite all my failings with the cooking and shaping process, we still ended up with something reasonably decent. But yeah, these are going to be good. These are going to be, well, I should have cooked these at a higher temperature, and this is definitely an instance of where I should have used a few more coals, specifically on top. Told you that full of pretzel will turn out good. I'd say it's alright. It's definitely not as aesthetically pleasing as some of the other full... It's by no means as aesthetically pleasing as the ones I've had in the store, but I'm sure it's tasty. I'm sure it's very tasty. Because so far, like that little bit of pretzel I had earlier was like tasty, and I'm having to be very, how do we say, restrained and my sense of devouring more food because, man, this beer cheese is good. Which, coincidentally, some people will like to make their beer cheese a bit on the spicy side. And as for me, the recipe I found didn't really call for adding a lot of spice, so I just chose not to do it. But I'm also okay with adding some spice to it. So you will find some recipes out there that'll call for some cayenne pepper. I was debating on having some Tabasco sauce with me earlier, and having like a small bowl where I could take a little bit of the beer cheese, mix in some Tabasco sauce, and just try the beer cheese with just the Tabasco sauce. I'm sure that would have been very good. Well, I was a little bit negligent in my prep for today. But yeah, here's like the inside of the pretzel. So it's a reasonably fluffy pretzel, actually. I just think I should have used a bit more heat, and then I would have been like golden. But and as the rain begins to fall, but cheers. My God, that is incredible. Like, the beer cheese is incredible. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, so originally I didn't know how well the Swiss cheese with the sharp cheddar would turn out, but like, boy oh boy, does sharp cheddar and Swiss cheese go together amazingly in beer cheese. Oh no, gotta eat them all now. So sad. Yeah, I gotta eat all this wonderful goodness. Oh! Hey! Man. My God. My God. Like, I truly wish I could describe the beer cheese better. Because I know beer cheese is kind of like a niche, very regional thing to my location and rotation. So, I know it's not like something that like the wider world knows about, but like, man, world, if you haven't had beer cheese, you're missing out, because this is a cheese dips that's absolutely incredible. It has such a rich level of flavor to it. Such a wonderfully rich level of flavor to it. And I do like the fact that in terms of texture, I've got something it's reasonably runny, but it's got a good thickness to it. Yes, just drip all over the pretzel. Drip all over the pretzel. That's where it's going to be going. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Granted, as much as I've been hyping up the beer cheese, the pretzels portion, honestly, I failed to get a really crispy crust on it, even though you can kind of see I definitely have a little bit of that golden brown goodness. However though, with the pretzels today, these are really like fluffy pretzels. Like, they're fluffy, they have a nice bit of butteriness to them. You can definitely tell I used a cornucopious amount of olive oil while handling them. Oh my goodness. This is really good food. Which, admittedly speaking, well, honestly, I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Well, the thing that I'm not gonna be like super currently worried about is it's now actively raining. So the rain that I thought was going to rain me out at the get-go, well, at the get-go or some early part of the stream, stayed off until the very end. So thank you very much, Mother Nature, for working with me today. I appreciate it. But yeah. Also, I would like to thank everyone for coming in today. Thank you very much. Sorry for exposing a slightly more awkward version of myself when it came to handling dough. My goal today was to get a little bit better at not burning dough in a Dutch oven, and I certainly managed to accomplish that. And hi, Fire. Thanks for making your presence known. But yeah, I managed to successfully cook bread in a Dutch oven and not burn it. Because I could definitely have used a little bit of a higher heat to get a little bit more crispiness out of it, but overall, it's well cooked. It's really nice and fluffy. I'm a happy camper. I am a happy camper. The dough ball crash out. Well, it wasn't the dough ball crash out. It was the beer cheese sauce crash out that happened earlier. The dough just absolutely covered my hands in such a unpleasant way, truly unpleasant way. Man. Okay. You know what? Well, let's see here. I want to see how consistent they are. I'm hoping these lightning bugs are going to be hopefully consistent, because I kind of want to do a tilt of the camera and show you guys a little bit of the garden and a little bit of the lightning bugs. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I am enough of beers then. Let's go take a look at the garden. If it happens again, you can get some flour and then rub your hands together real hard to help get some of the dough off. Yeah, I'm sure that can help get some of the dough off, but it's just like working with non-sticky dough would be the ideal. So, let's see here. So, oh wow, that's really green. That's interesting. But yeah, so you can kind of see a little bit out into the garden a little bit now. Ooh, yeah. I should probably actually be looking at the camera rather than actually looking at the world. But I hope you can. Hopefully, some of the fireflies show up in the camera. I'm trying to look at the camera feed right now and see if the fireflies show up, but I have a reasonably decent population of them around here. And then, as you can see, off to the top of the screen right there, those are my container potatoes right there. Those will be dug up, honestly, probably within about either a month, or I'm about a month to 6 weeks away from harvesting my potatoes. Approximately. Oh, come on, fireflies. Was it seriously that I looked at the garden and you... Oh, yeah, you can kind of see them a little bit. Great, great, great. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I really like fireflies. They're really cool, and it's always very encouraging to see them come out in the summer months. But yeah. Holy smokes, this has been a nearly 3-hour stream, and I was not intending this to be a 3-hour stream. So, cheers. Thank you very much, everyone, for showing up tonight in my endeavor to get better at cooking and finding out that, hey, you know what? I'm generally speaking, I've been pretty good with, as far as like techniques are concerned, when it comes to cooking. But I definitely do have a bit of a way to go when it comes to my ability to handle dough. Unfortunately, my dough handling ability apparently is just garbage, and you know what? That's something to work on. That is something to improve upon and look forward to in the future. So I'm gonna look forward to that. So, ooh. But I do want to say thank you very much to everyone who tuned in today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And yeah, eventually at some point tomorrow I'll have a schedule out. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. And with all that, this is Sugi Yamagawa, wishing all of you a wonderful rest of the day, night, evening, whatever it is, wherever you all are at. And hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.